When a student sits down for an interview, whether it be an MMI, whether it be hopefully not a stress interview or whatever it may be, the interviewer is looking for certain things, right? What is it? What are they looking for?
They're looking for, how can you handle the situation? Are you, communicating with the person, especially if it's an MMI situation where they're really looking at your communication skills. How are you communicating, and are you communicating clearly with the person you're communicating with? Because just think, you're going to be communicating with a lot of patients in your near future, so you better be able to communicate well. So that's one of the things that they'll be looking for. They're also looking for ethical decision making, because you're going to come across a lot of different ethical dilemmas as a doctor, and so how are you going to handle those situations? And, it's important, I always tell my students to not necessarily be wishy-washy in those situations, especially if the interviewer is really pushing you the other way, on the way that you went. Don't be like, well, maybe you're right. Just stick with your guns and go with it, because then that's going to start to put a question in their head. Are you unsure about, your initial answer? And just, once you take that minute to think about how you're going to answer that question, and then you answer it, go with it all the way. Don't start turning back and then changing your mind.
And I know that's often a difficult situation for students to find themselves in, because their instinct tends to be to try and agree with what they think the interviewer wants their answer to be. In this situation, though, the reality is that their interviewer doesn't necessarily want them to decide one specific way. They simply want them to come up with an answer, reason their way through it, and then, as you said, stick to their guns.
Absolutely, yeah. And they want to get to know who you are as a person, and what do you represent, and why are you interested in medicine? And that's what it really comes down to for most medical schools. And then, once again, like I said, how do you fit to their particular medical school? They don't want to hear that you just want to get into medical school and any medical school will fit. They want to know that you really are interested in their particular medical school for whatever your particular reason may be.